Hi, everyone. This is Rob Roy, and welcome to the HUBB Financial Crypto Show, where we talk about all things crypto with our crypto expert, Mr. Brandon Burton. We'll bring Brandon on in just a minute. Lots to talk about in the crypto world since the last time we got together. So excited to hear what he has to say. Real quickly, before we get into crypto, let's take a look at what's going on in the equities market. We can see that when we look at the chart of the S&P, we're continuing in this ascending pennant pattern. Whether or not it's an ending diagonal pattern or not will remain to be seen, but we're just kind of hovering in the upper end. What the market would appear to show is that we're going to have probably lower volatility, perhaps that creep higher that normally occurs this time of year. The old expression, never short a dull market. I don't think we're going to have anything out of the ordinary, but with the lower volume, we could have increased volatility. It's happened. It's not the normal, but it is a possibility. But for now, the charts look like we're just going to continue to creep higher. We did have a relabeling where the wave 5 turned into a 3. So that does imply we're going to go higher. We have a current zigzag pattern, which brings us up to 610, which is right in line with the big zigzag that we talked about in the past, where we had a 610 target. The only question becomes, do we have a wave 4 first and then move up in the wave 5 to 610, or does the wave 3 bring us to the 610 level? And then we have a correction. So there's a possibility that we rise into the inauguration. Maybe after all that's over with, we have a little bit of a correction in January as we wait to see what President-elect Trump's policies are going to be. And then we move back up into the wave 5. And that leads us right into the crypto world. I know everybody in the crypto land is excited about a pro-crypto administration coming in. So we could have a totally different world in the crypto world from what we're going to have in equities. So let's bring in Brandon right now and see what he says is going on in the crypto world. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, Rob. Nice to be here. A lot going on, obviously, kind of like you're saying. Volatility. That's the key.
Yeah. Things happening in crypto. I'm excited to talk to you and hear about all your behind-the-scenes info that you always bring to the table. I find it fascinating. I'm sure the viewers do as well. So I'll just let you jump right in and tell us what's going on there.
Well, I mean, everything in crypto kind of happens in cycles, and this cycle's no different. We have the Bitcoin move, which obviously we had. I mean, we talked about that last time. Bitcoin, boom, straight up. But now we have a little bit of other movement that is very, very typical to the cycle. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, Dennis Porter, I don't know if you know him or anything, or anybody here knows him, but he's been working on a lot of the behind the scenes as far as regulation goes with heads of state, with the cabinet, with everybody behind the scenes to make sure that the legislation in Bitcoin goes through kind of like we want it to. Now, he said that he can officially now confirm that 10 states will be introducing a strategic Bitcoin reserve to their legislation. He went on to say that he believes he's going to get state legislations passed before Donald Trump is going to pass national legislation on a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which is just overall bullish, obviously, for Bitcoin and for the crypto space in whole. And I believe that he could do it. He said the only way that Donald Trump will beat him to the punch is if he does an executive order. Now, remember, Donald Trump does have the authority to do an executive order of purchasing of Bitcoin up to $10 billion if he wanted to do so before going through the House and the Senate. So that could be a possibility here in January. So we're going to kind of watch that and see how that plays out. Also, last week we did talk about Mara, the miner, doing some of the Bitcoin standard out of Michael Saylor's playbook type of stuff. And they're at it again. This week they announced another offering, and it is already oversubscribed. So Mara is still on the list of stocks that I'm watching. But along those same lines, Michael Saylor had the opportunity to present to the board over at Microsoft. I know a couple of weeks ago we talked about him potentially doing that, and he did that. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. He did that. And in his slides, he kind of shared about some of the same presentational slides that he shared at Bitcoin Nashville. The ones where he talked about Bitcoin as a percentage of the world global assets. Now, this is the math that kind of Michael Saylor uses, and I kind of like the math because it makes sense. If it's growing as a global asset, it's going to continue growing at the same pace as gold grew over the last 10 years or more, because it's obviously more sparse and there's more scarcity in Bitcoin. Now, in this first slide here, we see that Bitcoin on his chart is $2 trillion of the $900 trillion in global assets. And we can see it there. It's that little itty bitty dot there on the global asset scale. It's so small, you probably can't even see it, Rob. Like, I think you'll have to go get your glasses, go to the other room and get your glasses and come on back. But that's how small Bitcoin is on the global asset value scale. Now, people are like, oh, it's 100,000. It's so much. It really isn't, man. If you look at it as a percentage basis. Now, Michael Saylor looks at this as $100,000 Bitcoin. Sure, fine. But if you look at this next slide here, this is kind of what Michael Saylor sees happening over the next 21 years. And he always uses Bitcoin standard 21 for all of his stuff. But anyway, over the next 21 years, he believes that global assets will grow to 4,000 trillion. Right now, they're about 900 trillion, 4,000 trillion. That's a 4x-ish on the global asset scale, which is right in line with what it has grown over the last 21 years. So he used that model. But then he exponentializes Bitcoin's growth as a comparison to gold's growth over the last 21 years as well. He says gold will grow. He says real estate will grow. Bonds will grow. But he says Bitcoin will kind of grow a little bit more. And he believes it will reach a market cap of $280 trillion over the next 21 years, which puts Bitcoin price in 21 years in 2045 at $13 million. And that is basically his inline case. That's not his bull case scenario. That's basically his it's going to happen scenario. And he believes that's going to happen. Now, I would be a bit more conservative, but I do believe that this is going to happen. Bitcoin's going to grow on the global scale because of the reasons I just mentioned. It's getting legislation. It's getting nation states that are going to be buying Bitcoin and other stuff that's going to happen. So what we want to talk about now, Rob, obviously everybody wants to know, okay, that's great and all. You could buy Bitcoin and hold it for 21 years, which that's probably what I would just do, because if it's going to get to $13 million a coin, I don't know if you need more than $13 million, but that just seems just fine for me, obviously with inflation and everything else. So if you buy one coin, that's our number one goal over at Digital Investor. Let's get everybody to one coin because that's what we need to have. And going forward, we'll be sitting pretty. But now there's a lot of movement. And we talked about cycles. Bitcoin moves first, but then we start to see the altcoins move. And the number one indicator of altcoin moves is the mother of all altcoin moves, XRP. If you look at this chart here, this is the entirety of the chart of XRP. And this is not photoshopped. This is not changed in any single way, but this happens literally every season. XRP is your key indicator of the beginning of altcoin season. So XRP, this is back in the very first run that they were alive. The second run, you can see they're alive. And now this just happened this week. And XRP went from like 50, 60 cents to right now it's trading at $2.74. It's jumped all 400% in the last week and a half. And it is absolutely crushing every other expectation out there. Now, it will fall off a cliff here in a second. So don't go FOMO into XRP. But other coins are now going to fall. This is the beginning of every single alt season. Cardano being number one of the ones that may follow XRP here soon. And it started to last night before we had our little blip this morning. It started to last night. It was up 15% after late night last night. It was like $1 and then jumped to $1.30. It started to follow. Now, the reason that we look at these coins, these are called zombie coins. These are called legacy coins. These are the coins that everybody remembers from last cycle. Like, hey, I think I was invested in one of those cryptos. What one was it? It was, XRP. Wait, Cardano. Wait, Solana. So you're going to follow this little trail down the line here and just basically go look at a lot of the coins that can trade on Robinhood, and you'll see all those old coins, Litecoin. You'll have, Chainlink. You'll have a couple other ones. And now a couple of the meme coins, Doge, it already kind of moved. So you'll have that cycle. So now the altcoins are moving. Next up, you'll see all the new tokens start to move, the new layer ones. You're talking Sui, Aptos, and some of those ones will start to move next. And then next, you'll see the NFTs start to move, and they just are already started to move now as well. I think you saw the Bored Ape Yacht Club. They all doubled this last week, no big deal, which is a leverage play on ETH if you wanted to get into the technicals of that. But I wanted to ask your take on, Rob, what have you been seeing on your end? I know that you've been hearing chatter a little bit about these coins, XRP and Cardano. What were your thoughts when you started to see these bad boys move?
Well, it's great that you mentioned those two. Those were two that I actually wanted to ask you about. But yeah, what I've been noticing is that we did have that big run in Bitcoin, and we had some little bit of consolidation here, right around the 100,000 level, right where you called that we were going to go by the end of the year. We're there a little bit early, so good on you for that. You also called Mara, so I did want to ask you, and you kind of answered that question already in your preview on whether or not you diversify away from Mara to maybe CleanSpark or something, if they're going to play a little bit of catch up, or if Mara's the place to be. But it's the same kind of thing of what you were just talking about. A little bit of consolidation in Bitcoin, a little bit of consolidation in Ethereum, all these that had those post-election runs. You mentioned Solana as well. They're all going through consolidation phases. And then I did notice that Cardano and XRP were taking off. And so you've kind of talked about that. I was going to ask you, is that normal rotation? Does the crypto world work the same way as the equities market works, where when you have a sector that's moving, like we're just calling crypto a sector in general, you get the big moves, and then the money looks to find, okay, where are the underperforming assets? Where are the really good stocks that haven't had quite the same movement to the upside? And that's what I was noticing out of Cardano and XRP, that they're taking off. So it sounds like you feel like maybe there's similarities there. There is going to be rotation. And from what you mentioned, more altcoins are to follow from that movement. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's this thing that we call with the normies. Let's just say like I have a friend. Let's just call him Ryan for instance, whatever. You look at it's a thing called unit bias, right? When Ryan looks at a chart and he sees Bitcoin at $100,000 for one coin, they look at that and it's like, oh, dang, I kind of missed it. So what do? They go look at the coins that pumped last time that are super cheap. So you look at XRP and it's number 6 on the market cap list, but it's only 44 cents. And there is a real psychology behind unit bias in these coins. So you see XRP, and when it was trading at 44 cents, everybody's like, well, that's a lot cheaper than $100,000, because even though that's a flawed way of thinking, it's a real way of thinking, and people look at that. So now they were able to say, oh, 40 cents, it can easily go to $2. And it did. And it did the same thing. So now they're all going to look at like things like Cardano. It's only $1 and it went to $3 last time. It could probably get back there and I can triple my money. They think that that's easier, and that's going to happen easier than Bitcoin, say, going from $100,000 to $300,000, which is a little bit flawed in that way of thinking, because it's really just percentage gains, but it's a real perception issue. And so that's what happens every single cycle.
One of the things that you just mentioned was what you guys like to do is get your people to one Bitcoin and then hold it, which I think is a great strategy. So when we start talking about these other altcoins that are coming in, are there any of them that you would look at for longer term buy and holds? Or are these just trading opportunities as this market rotation occurs and people pile into these? Solana started it, it seems like, and then we have XRP and Cardano following. Are there any of those that you would hold longer term, or is it still all about Bitcoin, getting to that one Bitcoin in your portfolio?
That's a really good question. So if I was to put money away and lock it up for 20 years, it would only be Bitcoin, nothing else. The rest of these I look as trades, because I just don't know what's going to come and be a better, faster horse in these races, right? Even Ethereum, it's its number 2. I mean, it has its own struggles. I mean, it's a strong horse, but will it be around in 20 years? I'm not sure. Bitcoin will be, because it's reached a level of security, and just the way that it's set up as a crypto, it's a little bit different than every other currency out there.
Yeah, they always talk about, even in the world of equities, that the first to the market is always going to be the lead horse, lead car, whatever you want to analogy that you want to use. And Ethereum did play a little bit of catch up that I believe you and I talked about in one of our previous recordings last couple of weeks, that it had lagged in, but it made a pretty nice run. And so just this little bit of consolidation, which I think is warranted, because people that have watched me know I don't like the vertical stuff. And we've seen both Cardano and XRP go really vertical. And so that tends to make me nervous on just the fact that too far, too fast type of thing, and that perhaps there can be some pullbacks. But it sounds like you answered the question that I was talking about, that these other opportunities are trading opportunities, but this isn't necessarily where you would want to put your money in for the long term. So use these as opportunities to acquire more Bitcoin and stay there. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, I mean, over the cycle, but right now, I mean, yeah, over the long term for sure. That's what you want to DCA back into is Bitcoin's my new stable, right? That's your new fiat, if you will. But right now, I mean, the one thing that I'm still looking at, and I know we keep hounding on this thing, is still Ethereum. I mean, if you look at my chart here, this is the Ethereum Bitcoin pair, right? And so this thing, just like we talked about many times, has been just like in this downward. I mean, you can't draw a better downward line. But this is where we hit like a couple of weeks ago, right here. And then even if I were to zoom all the way in on this kind of chart right here in this section right here, we thought that Ethereum was going to start breaking out right here. And it kind of did, which it's okay, right? This is an okay breakout. But really, we do think that Ethereum's still going to get back up to the 0.05 level on the Bitcoin trading pair against it, and that equates to a price of about $4,800 for Ethereum. And I believe it could still get there. So I still believe Ethereum is still the play that's the most undervalued and still has yet to move. It may never move, but I believe if it does, it'll move fast and it'll be so quick that nobody can really catch it on the way up. It started to move a little bit here with this candle here that just I'm highlighting right here. It started to move right there and then it just stopped because of some other things that were going on. But I believe it can continue if it finds its footing again here soon.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because when I look at, I know you like my chart analysis when we bring up all of your coins, and when we look at Ethereum, we have this zigzag pattern, and it shows Ethereum going to over 41. So that's getting in the neighborhood of what you just talked about if it completes this zigzag, which it should based on the pattern. So that kind of equates. And then I guess at that point in time, we kind of take a pause and wait and see with Ethereum. Is that how you would play it?
Yeah, we kind of like watch a little bit. That's your moments when it has those big runs. That's when you kind of scale out and you kind of move back either into Bitcoin or USDC, and you kind of wait a little bit, man. USDC pays so much if you're just holding USDC on the blockchain and you're just fine just holding that. It's better than any bond yield or treasury yield out there. And we show people how to do that over at Digital Investors. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that makes tremendous sense to me. So just back to the one other question on Mara. We had that big run. You absolutely spot on nailed that one. We did complete a zigzag and we kind of bumped our head around 30. We've backed off a little bit. We're holding support right now at 25, which looks like we could turn and perhaps go back to the upside. But I have been asked the question, since Mara took off, would you follow the same kind of plan and maybe move to a CleanSpark or one of the other miners, or do you just feel like Mara's got the plan down? They're following the model from Michael Saylor, as you were saying, with MicroStrategy, and that's the place to be. So just don't worry about the rest of them and stay there from the miner standpoint. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Here's my thoughts. And now, Mara. Now, okay, we still have yet to talk about our predictions for 2025 with Bitcoin, which I think we're going to do that in an upcoming show because I think that'd be cool. But Mara just turned into the Michael Saylor playbook, right? So Mara is a little bit different, and I think it will now be a leverage play on Bitcoin because of that. So it's going to move quicker than CleanSpark in both directions as Bitcoin moves. So keep that in mind. Same with MicroStrategy, right? So Mara, I don't know that I would rotate into CleanSpark over Mara, but on Mara, I would wait for a buying opportunity and get in. And now could be that time, maybe a little bit more of a dip here. I don't know, read your chart, whatever you want to do. But Mara will be going to $30 as soon as Bitcoin starts its move back up. It'll make a quick move to $30 again.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because we don't know that the other miners are following the same strategy. And then sometimes when you have the lead horse, you just stay with it. You pick and choose the rotations into the other things like we've chatted about regarding Cardano and XRP. But it seems to me that from what I've learned from you and doing a little bit of my own research, because you've gotten me so excited about the crypto world, Mara seems to be one that you would want to stay with and maybe not diversify into the other ones. But I did want to ask the question because it was asked of us, so I wanted to bring that out. I do agree with you. I think we want to tease everybody and leave, since you were so spot on with your forecast for this year on Bitcoin. I mean, you nailed it. Let's tease them and tell them that we'll talk about what your forecasts are for Bitcoin next year in an upcoming recording, so the people will come back and watch again if they want to see.
People will come. I mean, honestly, I could care less if they come back or not, but I'd love to have you here because I think it's important to know, and we do have. I think we have some great predictions and some great indicators coming up on where we do think Bitcoin will head this next year. And I think it would kind of blow your mind what we have to say. So I wouldn't miss it if I were you.
Well, I hear you, and I know you're doing amazingly well, but let's share a little bit of information with people. I do hope they come back. And I mean, well, when you find a great resource, and one of the things that I've always talked about, and I was always learned when I was growing up, you want to be smarter. You hang around with people that are smarter than you. You want to be a better golfer. You play golf with guys that are better than you. And I did all that stuff growing up, and you know way more about crypto than I do. I learn something from you every time. And I do like the fact that we provide an opportunity for people, if they want to learn more, here it is. So they should listen to you. I mean, you've been as accurate as anybody that I'm aware of in the world of crypto since we started doing these. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. So I'll let you take the wheel to sign things off and invite everybody to continue watching. You want to know where Bitcoin's going next year, this is a place to find out.
Oh, for sure. Come check us out. Also, if you guys want more of this education 5 days a week, go check us out over at Digital Investor. We'll put a link in the description. You can just sign up, just put in your name and email and get signed up over there. Now, obviously, back here, we're going to have some great shows coming up towards the end of the year. We're excited to be with you. And I guess we'll see you in the next one.
Look forward to it, Brandon. Thanks as always for your time. Appreciate it. Happy holidays to you and your family. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
We'll see you.
Take care, everybody.